Good afternoon. I'm Chuying, and I am a master's student from the Graduate School of Biostudies at Kyoto University. And this is our group mates that we met at a scholarship summer program, which is the Asian Future Leader Scholarship Program. So it's a 2-week summer program, and during the period, we will try to brainstorm ideas that are related to sustainable development. So because of the time limits of the 2-week summer program, we focus mainly on the brainstorming. So it may not be a very well-researched presentation, but we are working on the proposal now, and we really value any comments and suggestions. So today, our topic is food waste in convenience stores in Japan. So, as you may know, Japan is a country have a very high coverage of convenience stores. The number is about 57,000 convenience stores all over Japan. And if you have been to one Japanese convenience store, you may notice there is a great variety of fresh food and pre-made meals like lunch boxes and rice balls. But because those food expires very soon, within 2 days, so every day, actually, at one convenience store, they may lose 10,000 to 20,000 Japanese yen just by disposing those expiring food. And adding those money in total every year, they may lose 20 billion Japanese yen just by disposing those expiring food. And at the same time, they also produce 13.5 kiloton of food waste, and this amount of food is actually enough to feed 5 million people for a year. So that's why we think the problem is very serious, and we want to do something to be able to reduce the food waste by Japanese convenience stores. And while on the contrary, some online surveys, people found that now in Japan, about 86% of respondents, they said actually they are willing to eat food that passed the best before date but is still edible. So actually people's having a lower psychological barrier to expiring food. So in order to know how convenience stores deal with those expiring food, we conducted interviews with part-time workers at convenience store. This is Min-san from Kyushu, and she has been working in Family Mart for 3 years. And according to our interviews, we found that actually different convenience stores in different places of Japan, they use very different methods to handle the expiring food. Some convenience stores, they may just manually stick some discount labels onto the food to encourage people to buy it at a cheaper price. And some convenience stores, they may give those leftover food to their staff, like university student part-time workers, give it to them to bring it home and eat. And some convenience stores may encourage customers to buy those food by giving some point award. So the problem is there is no unified and efficient system to redistribute those food, and the customer awareness is still very low. So in order to solve this problem, some other organizations already offer some solutions. For example, there's a food bank in Kansai area, but they only collect shelf-stable food storage like canned food and snacks. And there are also mobile phone apps that allow people to go to a restaurant and eat the food that they cannot sell on that date. So this is some of the current solution, but they have drawbacks like they need a very high cost, logistic cost or manpower cost to be able to keep the system working. And also it's very inconvenience. Actually, it's very inconvenience for people who are really in need, because they need to go to that restaurant like within a very short time limit, and the information is also not very immediate. So based on those research, we try to propose our own idea of building a mobile app. And we believe our idea is really closely dependent and also would have very great influence on achieving some specific sustainable development goals. And in the following slides, I would try to explain how our mobile phone apps works. And for our idea first, we will need to collaborate with convenience stores in Japan, and we will gather information on expiring food in real time. And also, we will need to partner with the government so that we can have the information of people who are in need, like, for example, people under the poverty line or people who need food assistance, like university students who usually live within a very tight budget. So we are thinking we can use the My Number Card system in Japan, because this system has all the data of the income of people's income and their welfare status. So if we can get the information from the government, then we can find a qualified food recipient for our application. And lastly, the most important step is we will send out those informations about the expiring food to people in need through our apps in real time. So, for example, this is just a sample user interface. Like if there is a convenience store like within 2 kilometers of you, then if they have like onigiri, which is rice balls, if they have rice balls that will maybe expire tonight or tomorrow morning, then the mobile phone applications would send out notifications to tell you like there are discounted foods nearby. And when you got the message, you can go to the convenience store by yourself and presenting the My Number Card barcode or the QR code if you want to reserve the food on that application. So you can present those, and the shop owner will be able to redistribute the expiring food that they originally would be thrown away. So this is for the name of our application. We are thinking we can name it Snap. If you watch Avengers, you may know the Snap. We try to use the Snap to eliminate the food waste produced by the convenience store in Japan. And this is another explanation for how the workflows of our app works. This is before. Usually, for example, a bento boxes, which is a lunch box, can only be sold within 48 hours in the convenience stores. And if it has not been sold when it's almost expired, then it will have some slight discount. But if it's still cannot be sold after discounted, then the staff will remove it from the shelf and people cannot buy it anymore, and they will just be discarded. But with our app, we have another discount systems for people in need. Like after the slight discount, after the food is removed from the shelf, it can have further increased discount for people who are in need. So if the people got the notification from the phone applications, then they can come to the convenience store and collect those expiring food and enjoy the food. So this is how it works. And of course, there are multiple benefits for government and for convenience stores and also food recipients. And some of the concerns, we think maybe the government may need to put more effort in strengthening the My Number system, but we think it's still very feasible in spite of those concerns. So because convenience store is the most important partner in our proposal, so we want to emphasize some of the benefits for convenience stores. by joining our phone application proposal, the convenience stores can reduce their cost of food disposal, and also they can build a more positive social image and increase their customer loyalty. So our next step would be to join some crowdfunding events or some entrepreneur challenges to be able to get the resources that we need to work on our project. And this is the photo of our group mates, and I would like to thank Professor Zhao and Sekiyama Sensei for inviting me to present our ideas here. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm over here. I just had one little bit of curiosity.
Yes.
As far as food waste is concerned, is there a pronounced difference between convenience stores and the amount of food waste? Because you said it varies to a great extent how they deal with their food waste. So I would expect that there would be some difference there.
Yes, thanks for your question. Actually, yeah, when we are preparing and when we are doing the research, we found some materials from the Ministry of Environment, and they break down all the steps of the food production, all the way from the materials, raw materials from the retailers. So each process each process they will produce food waste. For example, even after the food already go to the convenience stores, they have different steps. Like some food are cooked in the convenience store, and some food are just come here, but maybe they may be damaged during the transportation process. So there are multiple reasons to create food waste in different transportation or logistic processes. But what we are focusing on is just this part, which is the customer potential and the amount of products they have on the shelf. So we are focusing on a smaller area that we can actually do something to solve this problem, because we are just a group of students and we want to do something that's really feasible for us. So that's why we focus more on a small area in these bigger topics. But thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Not a question, it's
Yes.
another set of comments maybe.
Yes.
The first one is I like your fairly comprehensive approach to food loss and waste. But if we reach the point where we will have to find a way of using the food that's left over, it's an admission of failure somewhere in the system. We have to stress as much as possible that SDG 12, okay, target 3, and I believe indicator 1 says we have to reduce food loss and waste, especially food waste at the domestic level. It doesn't say waste first and then see how you deal with it, right? It says reduce, and we really need to emphasize that. The second comment is mostly for your information. You may already know. In our office in Japan, we work with many private companies, including 7-Eleven. We work with many chefs, indeed one of our hotel chefs, indeed one of our goodwill ambassadors in Japan is a chef in one of the biggest hotels in Tokyo. We try to see together what we can do to reduce especially food waste, because as you may already know, the food wasted at the consumer level, it produces a lot more CO2 than the food wasted or lost at earlier stages, and this is scientifically demonstrated. And so by acting, working with consumers, we could make a big difference. And the last point I want to make is about what you call best before, which in Japanese is shoumi kigen. It's more expressive in Japan because it shows that it's only about the taste and not about the value or the nutritional value of the food. I spoke with an expert who came from Nordic countries, and she told me that in one of those countries, when you put the best before date, you have to explain. This means you can eat the food even after that, provided you do this and that. It must be explained. Otherwise, we're all very nervous about eating food beyond a date that is clearly marked on it, okay?
Yes.
And so we also need to strive and to see if we can push things to be done beyond that. We work with MPs too, diet members, and they have issued a law, maybe you're already aware of this, first law in Japan on food loss and waste reduction. I can introduce you to some of the diet members who worked on it so that you may complement your knowledge on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.